Hey folks, clearly I do these in my pajamas very often at the last minute, right? Just before I go to bed. Anyway, today I am doing, or tonight I am doing a video about journaling, which is something that I was supposed to have done a couple of weeks ago. No, not a couple of, about a week ago, week and a half. Anyway, I want to talk about journaling as a practice for self-awareness. And it's very fitting because today I was journaling and I just had these moments of clarity. And the thing about journaling that I love is that you have to sit there and write it out and finish a thought. Whereas, I don't know about you guys, but my mind goes all over the place, and it's hard to kind of think things through for me when I'm not writing it down, which is another story. I mean, it is, I do it, I can, obviously I can, and I do, and it's just, it's harder because my mind just goes in a bunch of different directions. But you can't do that when you're journaling. You can have lots of thoughts while you're doing it, and that is hard for me because, there's so much I want to write down, and your hand can only go so fast. And, then you forget things, because I forget things like that. Hoping that as I get rid of this, as I release all this energy, I have really cool things to talk about that, but that's a different video. It's really cool though. See, I forget about things in the middle. Basically, I'm hoping as I release this energy that the brain fog will kind of clear. But that's a different conversation. So journaling. So I sat down and I was journaling. And the other cool thing about journaling is that your mind you're using your mind in a different way. And for me, at least, it's more open to inspiration. I find that if I have a question that I want an answer to, that's like, a deep question about like, why do I do this? Or why does this happen? Or whatever. I can ask it in the journal. Sorry, guys. I can ask it as I'm journaling, and the answer usually will come to me as I finish the question up. It's a matter of willing to be honest with yourself, though, because sometimes there are questions you want to ask about yourself that you don't really want the answer to, or that the answer is something that you don't want it to be. And you have to be, and that's an uncomfortable feeling, right? So it makes you kind of want to not ask the question. But when you work your way through that and you get the answer, new possibilities open up for you, different ways of growing, seeing things differently. I mean, like several years ago when I started this sort of, oh, wait a second, journey, kind of more about self-awareness and stuff like that. I did a lot of journaling. It was during COVID, and what else was there to do? I lived with my boyfriend at the time, and he took a month and a half and went and visited his sister and shit. Not that this matters, but I was alone for a month and a half, 5 weeks. And I spent the entire time learning more about myself. And a lot of that I was journaling for hours every day. And I found out so much that I needed to know in order to change myself, my psyche. And, people say don't change, but the thing is, your psyche determines whether you're happy or not. Your psyche determines the quality of your life from morning when you wake up all the way through when you're sleeping and you wake up. It just does. And when there are things in there that cause problems, you have to know about them, and you have to understand this. Those drive me crazy with the reactions. You have to know about it, and you have to understand where it comes from. One of the things I did during that summer, because I was so wound up, I have these thoughts that like send me into like anxiety, like deep anxiety, not just like, oh, that makes me anxious, like almost hyperventilating, like having to calm myself down. The stuff I've been talking about, that like that cringe thing, that the cringe thing is somewhat, it wasn't happening then, but it was like panic almost back then. And what I would do, I even made like a sheet of, I had a whole notebook, and I would write down the thought that I had, what triggered the thought, the emotion that accompanied it, and an alternative way of looking at a way of reframing things. And that, guys, that helped immensely. Like, honestly, during that time when I was doing that, there was, I don't even remember the moment it happened, but like, I was like in a state of euphoria for 3 weeks, because what I believe have happened is that I opened, I cleared enough that the energy could flow in a way that it wasn't able to before. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome. You can get clarity through journaling. You can understand yourself and why you do the things that you do, why the way you feel the way that you feel. So today I was journaling and I got some amazing clarity. Well, yesterday, Saturday, I was on a call. It was called the 100 Days of Harmony, and there's a group of people who are learning to like balance their lives between, not balance like evenly, but like create harmony in their lives between like work and personal stuff and all that stuff. And part of the call is this woman named Lauren, who's really awesome. She does like a mindfulness meditation kind of thing, and we're actually going to be having her on Mondays. Hopefully she agreed to it, starting next month, which is also mindfulness month, so that will be fun. But we were talking about, one woman was talking about something that really like upset her, and how that she was able to like not flip out about it. And I'm like, wow, I understand. I would have flipped, like I would have been really upset in that situation too. And Lauren said, when you have those kinds of reactions, it's a good idea to sit down and think, where did that come from? Like, why do I react so much? And then we were also talking about core values, and she's like, and that's a way to discover your core values. Like, what is it that drives you in a lot of ways, right? So I was like, so I started kind of writing down. I mean, even while she was speaking, I was listening, but I was writing down. I was like, because my first thought was like how I react to my father. Like, it just drives me insane, and there's many times there's no reason for it. I just react to him like that. So I was kind of writing out, like thinking it out. The thing is, when you're writing, you can think things out. So I was thinking it out, and I was like, well, this bothers me when he does that, and this is what bothered me, and like this came back from this part of my life and whatever. And all of a sudden I realized that my core value is unconditional love. And that kind of made me cry. But I do believe, that makes a ton of sense. And I do believe that that's part of my mission on this planet, in this life. So there was that, which was a huge realization, and only happened because I was writing it out. And then today, I've been doing a lot of personal growth work. I'm very lucky in that I don't have a family or a job right now. And that's a different story, but I am able to spend some serious time on this journey of personal growth, and I'm so grateful to be able to share that with you, which I haven't really been doing as much as I would like, and I will now start doing that. So I started writing things down, and like, just things I like. There've been different realizations I've been having, different physical, like this energy that's flowing out is like it's leaving and it feels good, and different areas are clearing, and it's, I mean, anyway, but I'm getting these insights, so I was writing in the journal, and some things that came up, excuse me, were things actually that I already knew, but only from one point of view. For instance, like, I know that I react in certain ways to the people nearby because of things from the childhood, right? Ways that were treated during childhood, and the way I've always kind of understood that is like why they're causing me pain, and looking, okay, well, I can understand that because, when they were kids, they had to deal with this and stuff like that. And then, but today I was thinking more in the sense of who they've become as people, what their things are. And because of my mom's past, everything is negative. Like, there is no good, like anything good, she's going to look at the negative side. And it's worst case scenario, worst case scenario, right? Like, with everything. And if she can't find something that's wrong, she will make it up. You know what I mean? Like, there just has to be, and it's something she kind of enjoys, but it's also like, that's a shitty world to live in. And then my father, because of the way he grew up, his parents were terrible, and he had learning disabilities. So the only person who would take care of him and champion him and, make sure he did well and give him praise was himself. And I knew this, you know what I mean? Like, that's true. But then when I I took it one step further, is really what had happened, was in the journal. And I discovered like things about him and why, in a different way, why things happened the way they did. And then in that, I found more about where my main issues come from, and it's about feeling like I'm worth knowing about, because my father being a narcissist, and I don't mean that in a mean way, he just is, doesn't really care and never has about anybody else's life, or what they're feeling, or anything like that. It's just, he doesn't want to hear about it. Like, I was writing about, I don't have to go this far. All I'm saying is I found out things about why I show up in the world the way I do. It was like these really big insights, and as I go forward, I'm hoping the insights help me more with those issues. For instance, lack of self-worth, and feeling like not only I'm weird, but I'm wrong. Like, wrong. Like, I know where these things come from, and I connected it with their personality. And anyway, point is, I learned a lot about myself that I believe will be helping me as I develop and seek healing and different ways of feeling about myself and different ways of behaving in the world. And that's because I was journaling. So I cannot recommend journaling enough for self-awareness. And that is what I have to say about it. I hope that you will try it. And again, this video is for a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago. So tomorrow I'll be doing another video. The rest of the videos of that week that I didn't do, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do the videos for this week that I didn't do. Even today's video. I didn't do that one either. things happen. Life happens, right? So I really gotta be more disciplined, basically. Because I should be. It's a different video. Anyway, I am going to say to you that even if there are things that make you feel bad about yourself, when you start exploring yourself, which is I didn't really tell a story about that, but it happens. You're like, I don't like this about myself. Where did it come from? And you find out, and you're like, oh. Even if that happens, and you're like, oh, I don't like this about myself. I don't want to look at this about myself. You can always choose to have a grateful night.